everyone, for taking your time to join us today on this very extraordinary session of the Global Youth Platform Network Platform for Empowerment and Education. My name is Bertus Kwawir, and I am a computer science master's degree scholar at Istanbul Technical University. It is a privilege for me to be your host today for this session. And with us today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Thoufeeque Saheer, someone who has dedicated his passion to give youths and people the opportunity to gain skills that will make them employable. So to give you a brief introduction of our guest today, I would like to give you a little bit about his background, then he would also have the opportunity to elaborate more on what he does and on who he is. So Mr. Thoufeeque Saheer, he had his bachelor's degree in electrical electronics and communications engineering in India. Later on, he became an associate of the Sutherland Global Services in India. With his passion in software engineering, he became a software engineer at the Tata Consultancy Services. Later on, he then became a software Java developer in the United States of America. After that, he moved on to become a software engineer with the Wolfram Research Center, where he is responsible for building and maintaining core web applications like the Wolfram Cloud. Presently, Mr. Thoufeeque is the main manager of the web production engineering department, and he is also the founder of Achi's Academy. So it is an honor to have him here. So once more, thank you very much for joining us today. As our session continues, we would give Mr. Thoufeeque about 20 minutes for him to give us a presentation of our topic today, which, by the way, would be on what the challenges of being a software engineer, what it takes for you to become a software engineer, what are the skills, what are the techniques, what are the platforms, programming languages that you might need to become a software engineer. What do you need to do? What are the challenges you would probably face? And then we would probably discuss on the opportunities that you would have if you choose to take the path of software engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, during the course of Mr. Thoufeeque's session, please, if you have questions, there would be a Q&A section after his presentation where you would have the opportunity to ask Mr. Thoufeeque whatever question you want to ask. This is a free, open slot for anyone who has any question related to software engineering or career development. So you would have that opportunity. Also, feel free to type your questions on the chat section as well. As the discussion goes on, you might have a question. You can write it on a piece of paper. You would have the opportunity to ask him, or you can type it on the chat and we would forward it to Mr. Thoufeeque for him to give you an elaborate answer. So without wasting much of our time, I want to once more welcome you and thank you for being here today. I believe we would have an amazing session, and by the time we are done, you would be well educated with the knowledge of what you can do in your current field in order to benefit from the skills and the knowledge that Mr. Thoufeeque would share with us today. So, Mr. Thoufeeque, I would give the floor now to you. Welcome. And you would have about 20 minutes to complete your presentation, since our chat platform is also time sensitive. So, Mr. Thoufeeque, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. And it was really nice words that you have put me across, and you kind of summarized my background, where I come from, where I studied, and all those. I would like to take one step behind, even before my bachelor's or the studies which I did my university. To start with, I grew up in India. First of all, I grew up in India, south part of India, coming from a state which is really good in literacy. We give a lot of importance to education. So the one of the reasons which I have to mention about this is, when you grew up, the people around you, like especially the older generation, one generation before me, was not really educated family. Like I'm not coming from a really educated family, because my parents are all focused on business. But when I started growing up in my childhood, India as a whole, and especially the state where I come from, Kerala, given a lot of importance for various professional field, such as computer science, or doctors, or lawyers, or nurses, etc. So if you ask me, I had a dream, or even if when I didn't know what is software engineering, my grandfather used to ask me, what do you want to become when you are when you become bigger, or when you become an adult? With people say so many things. I want to become a police, I want to become an astronaut, or whatnot. But I don't know why. I still remember I used to say that when I was probably in the second grade or third grade. I usually used to say, I want to become a computer engineer. I have no idea. I have no idea about what is computer engineering means then, but I was fancied to see the American movies, the Hollywood movies, when back then, like, people are hacking the systems and things like that. So that's kind of fancied me. Okay, that's kind of a cool profession to be. And I watch a lot of movies. So believe me, I watch a lot of movies. Not now, at least, but I used to watch a lot of movies. Okay. Where I kind of fancied about this computers and things like that. But one thing which I want to say is that I was good in mathematics, and I am really good in mathematics in the sense, like, I do a lot of computation in terms of calculations and things like that, planning, and maybe because of my astrology is being Virgo, probably that's the reason. But I usually do a lot of mental calculations and things. So I'm good in mathematics. And when I studied my engineering, though when you grew up, your path kind of differentiates one way or another. But in some way or another, I was in the engineering path because I would like to solve problems. And when maths is always there is a solution. And how can we find a solution to a problem? So I would like to get things, if there is a problem is there, how can you solve that? So that's been a curiosity for me always. But I studied my electronics and instrumentation engineering when I was in my bachelor's. But nevertheless, sometimes, when you have something in your heart, when you are a kid, it kind of always will be pursuing, even if it is unconscious. So during my second or third year to my education itself, I got my first job. So way before even I graduated. So way before even I graduated, I got my first job as a software engineer, even if I don't know anything about programming. I have no clue about programming. Okay, let's be honest with you. When I got I still think that in the earth the interviewers seeing in me to become a software engineer who does not know how to program. That's my first thought process when I got my job. Even why even they even hired me, because I don't know anything about programming languages. I have no idea about programming things. But years gone by, I started seeing the young people joining in, or the young people I started training. I understood that the reason why I got my first job was because of my analytical skills, my problem solving skills, and the obviously the questions was asked based on the problem solving, and it was basically how you can come up with the solution as fast as possible, and without one of those things which I am okay. So here everybody is good at one thing or another. One another thing which I am really good at is observing things. I can observe something immediately and get into what exactly that is. That's kind of stuff which probably because of how you grew up in your child, or maybe you're I like to play puzzle, I like to play Lego and all those stuff. So that could be the reason I like to observe immediately if there is something. Maybe that could be the reason I got my first job. Okay, so you need to imagine when I am just going to my software engineering career, I have no clue about software. And but the thing is that when you enter into this big platform of a big company, my first job, though you mentioned it's Sutherland, it is one small call center back in, again, in state of Kerala. After my graduation, if you guys remember, I don't know how many people even remember that. It was 2000, around the time when we had the recession, the global economic crisis was happening at that point of time. So even though I got my job, there was a kind of delay to join the job. So I was like at my house, I got graduated, and I have nothing else to do. And I went to this first job as per se, like, even though I have been doing some small jobs when I was a kid and things like that, my first corporate job, let's say, being office, I have to dress and go, maybe shave my beard and things like that. So I have to go to that office. When I got my first job, it was a call center. And it was a call center, and like, most of us over here are not coming from a non it's not a non-native English speaking country. So everybody has their own issues of speaking English. And though in my state or in India, we kind of good in English, but we don't really speak English throughout when you are in your state, because you tend to speak your mother tongue. So this, everything you get as an opportunity. So whenever you go into anything, even big or small, it doesn't matter. That is an opportunity there. And for me, going to that call center was the biggest opportunity, which I feel like the salary was very, when you compare with what I used to get there, the salary was so, it was so less. But but that was valuable, during that period of time. I mean, even if for now also, whatever that it is valuable for me. So the thing is that what I learned from that 4 months period of time was priceless, which I was able to start communicating with the people directly from United States. So I started talking with them, I started chatting with them, I started phone calls with them. And I had a trainer who taught us a lot of not to do this kind of stuff when you are speaking. You need to do this way when you speak. So I kind of built myself as a process-oriented person who can how to show your attitude towards public speaking skills. Okay, so that's the thing which I learned from there. So even though you got a job which is very low salary, it doesn't really matter to me then and now also. But I learned something really good at that point of time. And I like to learn. I mean, one of those things, even if whenever you are graduated, or even you are moving forward your career and things like that, never stop learning. If once you stop learning, then there's a saying, you're gonna go downward spiral. Always keep learning something or another, even if it is a small thing. I mean, I learned yesterday something which I didn't know till now, even if it is a software thing which I have been dealing with so many years. Curiosity. Again, the curiosity builds me what it is next. So once after that, I got my job, and this thing which I spoke about, being the career, the call center, whatever, I was speaking English, helped me when I went to another state in India where we don't speak English. We don't speak my mother tongue. So we have to speak English there. And luckily for me, even if it is 4 months, I was able to speak, with the other people in that state with no issues. So there is a fundamental problem now. I'm working in a software engineering company, a software technology company, without knowing even a single line to code. So that's the problem now. Even though I have an educational background in engineering and I have graduated as an engineer, and I'm working in this big multinational company where I have zero knowledge of how to do programming, zero knowledge. Okay, so this is what when life presents to you with people, friends, maybe mentors, managers, um, in a one shape or form, where there will be a lot of people in your career or in your life, maybe comes and goes. Okay, so that's inevitable. Some people will be friends for some time, some people will be going back and forth. But my past was like, in a way that I was able to get in my first software engineering job, where I was able to get a good mentors, even though they were just a 1 year or 2 years experience than me. But they didn't taught me in a way that okay, so this is how you write a code. No, they pointed me to things. That's it. They pointed me to a direction, but that direction is more than enough for me to go ahead and pursue it. Okay. And believe me, I spend days and nights and Saturdays, Sundays, weekends for few amount of months. It took a lot of struggle. It didn't come easy way. There is no easy way. There is no easy path. If you want something, you have to work for it. There is no easy path. So I kind of spent my good amount of time, probably 18 hours a day, just maybe sleeping is the only thing which I might have done, or going things around. Probably 15 to 18 hours a day. I used to work every single day for a few months, because I used to go to the office. I work there, come back, learn it, get up in the morning, try to solve the problem which I need to solve the problem. So I did that every day for a few months. So that's the starting point. And again, I said, no formal education, no prior education in the sense of software engineering. And only thing which I had is some good colleagues which pointed me, never tried to make me feel like a person who does not know. But I also maintain my attitude towards that I should not disturb the person unless and until I give it a try, or I want to make sure that I always point out the things in a way that I can learn things. So I keep improving. My challenge was not to compete with anybody else apart from myself. That's it. That's the same direction even with Archie's founded. The goal of Archie's was that I don't want to compete with a software engineer of another person. My competition is always me. One day before me, am I better than yesterday in terms of software engineering? That's it. So every single day I have put if you like to play games, if you are a gamer in this chat here, you probably might have played one game or another, at least a brick game you might have played in your kid. You always want to beat your high score. Okay, you always want to beat your high score. Why? What's the point? But that's that spirit in myself, where I want to beat my knowledge. Okay, I learned something today. How can I be learning more than today, tomorrow, but I know this thing which I learned yesterday without any problem? But I might be making mistakes. I have made tons of mistakes in terms of software engineering. But you make mistakes, you fall down, you get up, you run. That's it. As simple as that. Even if you fall down, that's one of those things. Again, I tell to the trainees or the people who I've been trained in my past, you will fall down, you will make mistakes, but never scared of the mistake, meaning that you got an opportunity to learn something new. The one thing which I always don't want to tolerate, I'm a human being. I have a tolerance problems of everybody will be having something which you cannot tolerate. One of those things which I don't like to tolerate is like carelessness. That makes me kind of I mean, again, speaking of it, I have done my careless mistakes too. So still doing sometimes. Okay. So the thing is that I personally try to avoid this carelessness even when I'm doing software engineering or whenever I'm trying to train these people. It is okay to make mistakes, but don't try to make it like, no, don't give it a try. Try to solve yourself. And if not, like, there are things in the internet, there are things in the Google which you can help. Try to mold a thinking like that. So that's where at least I came up with no single background. So it did help me, and I'm so sure that like, if you are a person with a good attitude and motivation towards learning, attitude and motivation, two important words in my life, which is really required. Attitude, if you have it, you can go anywhere you want to. Show your attitude in the right place at the right time. You will be doing good. But if your attitude is going bad, even if you are in the best program in the world, you will get screwed up. I can tell you that. So showing the right attitude, that's one thing. Second thing is that, like, again, commitment or motivation. The commitment is the next thing. Showing the right commitment. If you are committed to something, and if you are committed to do some particular issue or some particular learning or something, that commitment is always there. If that commitment goes, then again, a downward spiral. So that's the next step. So I want to speak a couple of minutes about like the things which I have been doing in the last, even though we have a 20 minutes, I know that I have to wrap up in a 20-minute cycle. So the things which I wanted to train, or the reason which I founded the company Achi's Academy, is because of there are a lot of people who are really good, talented in different parts of the world, but mostly, high-paying jobs are usually in the Western countries such as US, Canada, UK, or Australia. I've been in the US for the last more than 8 years now. And I know that I have seen so many engineers. I have worked with them till now. And I can tell you there are so many young engineers I've been training right now are way better than the people who have been there. But they don't have the opportunity. They don't know the opportunity how they're missing. So the opportunity are there. The problem is that, are you getting the right platform to perform it? So, coding doesn't mean that you got the platform to how to get it exposure your talent. That's one thing. You have you are a good software engineer, but you are having a bad attitude. Then also you're gonna screw up. You're gonna go down. You will not survive in the team for a long. After some time, you will be like, okay, you are not a team player. You have to go. So team player, one of those, another important thing. How can you work with the team? You need to know, you need to put yourself how to learn and how to, work with the other person too. I always put, once if I started learning, and I have been though Achi's been formed only maybe less than 10 months, we're going to be completing almost in a couple of months, 1 year. It's still young. We have been training almost maybe 15 to 20 people by now in one way or another. Some people are working full-time in Achi's. Some people are right now training. So we can tell that 15 to 20 people we have been training. And we will be growing, okay? We will be growing, and we will be growing, and more. We will be getting more exposure. And one of those things which I noticed is that there is so many good talent out there, but there is no guidance or a mentor out there. How can you change that? That's one of those things. So with that being said, that, like I said, the countries such as like this Turkish regions like Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan and things, you can take, there are certain countries is really good in the software engineering, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, South Asian countries, Philippines and Thailand and all those. But there are countries, like there are so many countries in Africa, and you guys know that, most people are here also from the continent of Africa. There are so many good talent out there, but I can tell you that you are not getting a right exposure to get to the right place. That's one of those things. How can you get the right exposure? So again, You need to know what you need to do. With my this amount of experience which I have been gone through, at least I can pass that knowledge to the person, and and push or pull them out of their that cocoon phase of where they are stuck with, and get into the global platform. That is what the thought process of Achi is. We are not a company which is going to be just located in one small place. Right now, our most of the operations are in Turkey, but it's a US company, and we want to make sure that it is expanded across the world. Where are the countries which are really not, things like in Africa or South America, or the countries, South Asian countries where it is not there. How can you bring this talent? How can you get into this global platform? How can they get into the big MNC companies where they are getting paid really good, better than they are going to get paid in the local currency where they are exploited? I can tell you, the local companies over here are exploited over here. Okay, in one way or another, this good talent. How can we change those things? And with the COVID-19 situation which is happening, more and more companies are right now in Silicon Valley or in US. They are more open-minded to hire people from the remote locations, or ultimately what requires is that, are you able to work in a the communication. The communication is one of those things. I mean, I have been working remotely in one way or another for the last 3-4 years. One of those things which I always try to make sure things are the communication. Once the communication goes down, that's where another problems happen. Okay, so communication is everything when you're working remotely, or those things. So how can we better at to make this people who have not exposed to this kind of scenarios, and how can we make sure that train those people? So with that being said, that I know that this is my time, it's between 20 minutes, so I wanted to, and I had my PowerPoint, but it's very short period of time for my PowerPoint to even start, so I just, okay, let's speak about it rather than showing things. There's not much, I just wanted to speak about it. So with that being said, that I think I can wrap up my 20 minutes time limit which I have. And I think if there are people in the group which has more curiosity, or more how there are more questions, please feel free to reach out to me in person, by email or chat. Or if you want to know more about Archie's Academy, please reach out to us. Aslam is our operations manager, me or him. You can reach out to him to get more ideas and things like that, and we will always there to help you guys. So, well, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thoufeeque. In fact, your presentation it has everything in it. It was full of inspiration from your story, your personal life. It was full of ideas and advice from your experience as a software developer. And at the same time, you had this motivation in it that anyone listening would feel that if you can do it, given where you come from and who you were, then I bet they themselves can do it. Because to be honest with you, I do relate with you in a lot of things. First of all, I also did my bachelor's in electrical and electronics engineering in Cameroon. And I had no idea of software engineering, just like you. And then after graduating, I just got a software job, just like you did. And the first project they gave me was on artificial intelligence, self-driving car, Python. I had no idea. And then I am given 1 week to deliver. I had to learn a language in 1 week. So when you were speaking, I was like, wow, first of all, I am not the only one who has gone through this. And what you shared really touched me. And I feel that the audience as well might relate to it, because from what you said, one thing for sure stands out from those who can succeed in doing anything. When you are ready to learn, when you are committed to always learn, no matter what, I believe you can be anything. So without expanding so much on what you have already said, I want to thank you so much for that elaborate, heartwarming advice, and in fact, a presentation filled with so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Thoufeeque. I know that audience as well, I believe some already might have been sending questions on the chat, or we would open the chat for questions as well. But before we go to that, I also have a few questions. Maybe the audience would benefit from it, Mr. Thoufeeque. So from what you said, it feels like someone listening to it, in order to become a software engineer, it feels like you must have analytical skills. You must be this smart kid who can solve equations, can solve problems. Do you think this is a prerequisite in order to become a software engineer, or anybody from maybe political science, from, I don't know, literature, can they find themselves in the path of software engineering?
Good question. Okay. So here's the thing, right? Like, I don't want to correlate with what background of your studies you have done. Your bachelor's is equal to your analytical skills. People who might have done in the literature, they're probably good in analytical skills. But everybody has. You need to understand, in one way or another, everybody has a different set of skills. Okay, your brain power is different. You are not made the same way. Okay, one way or another. So how can you? I cannot really compare myself with Einstein, because he is of big. I cannot compare with Steve Jobs. So, but at the same time, I cannot compare with somebody who is a junior or a trainee who is coming with which I'm training. They can be good, that they will be better than me too. There are people who is better than me in my training people also. There are in no shape or form I am better than them. That's one thing. But in order to become a software engineering, like I said to you, there are few things which you have to show your skills. One of them is analytical skills, yes. Problem solving skill, yes. And the third thing is even if these two are there, you might be clever enough to start learning a programming language. If you learn programming language and if your attitude is wrong, there goes that. So you need to have a good attitude. So you need to, if you don't know how to communicate, okay, all four of them are good, but you are not able to communicate. Communication is not how to speak English. No. If you think that speaking English is your communication skill, then you got it wrong. No. I don't have an American accent. At the same time, I can tell you that I don't have a proper Indian accent too. In between, here and there. I do have my Indian, I do have my American accent too, in between. But am I able to communicate properly with you or not? Are you understanding it or not? That's the most important thing. If you don't know how to communicate and if you don't know how to understand the other person, again, there goes it. The dead in water. So that's what it is.
Thank you very much for expanding and giving us a very lucid response. Yeah. So the chat forum is open for anyone who has questions for Mr. Thoufeeque. Perhaps you would like to find out what opportunities are there, what skills should you be learning, probably, which is mine. I don't know if someone has that questions, but Mr. Thoufeeque, while waiting for people to ask their questions, I would actually move forward with this question as well, that I believe would help the audience to have an understanding of where to start. So let's say that this is you have no software skills, you've never been introduced to programming, you want to start maybe building some web applications or developing, I don't know, mobile applications. So where can someone like that begin? What is the proper steps? Because from my personal experience, I jumped right at the middle of the ocean and I almost drowned. So
yeah, you're right.
And I know that it's best if someone can start from the very foundation, build the foundation strong, and then move forward day by day consistently.
Yes.
Become a very good software engineer. So
absolutely.
From your experience, what can you do for someone like that?
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right in the sense, like, if you don't have any software skills or software engineering knowledge, um, this is one of those mistakes most people do. They try to Google and find most trending languages and try to pursue that language, and you get drowned. Okay, so that's one of those things people do generally. How can you learn? I would just start with the most easiest thing to learn. If you are nothing about no software engineering knowledge, no algorithmic knowledge, no data structure knowledge, nothing, none so ever. But you want to have, again, software industry is not just for people, for programmers. There are a lot number of roles out there. Project managers are out there, designers are out there, creative content writers are out there. You need to ask yourself, are you really a programmer or not? If not, you need to pursue something non-technical completely. Why are you even chasing down the programming skills? Of course, they get paid more, but you can get into a software company and then slowly build your career in that form. And then once you get more and more used to it, start learning. Pick a language which is easy enough to learn. I would just start with even HTML, CSS. Why not? Right now also is valid. HTML, CSS, let's start with that. Or even something simpler like a MySQL, SQL scripts, easy. Scripting languages, easy. Let's pick one thing. And then slowly progress down the road. Like, I won't let's just go ahead and start with something complicated like Java, where you need to learn about a lot of things about it. So you can pick the most simplest thing if you can, like an HTML, CSS, or even some process-oriented. Learn tools. There are so many tools out there which you can learn. Like, for example, in project management space, learn how to use Jira. Jira is a tool. Or, how to write documentation. There's something else. So learn a lot of tools which will really help you, or pick a simple language like HTML, CSS, and start from there even. And consistency, as you said, that is what we need. Do not take something which you cannot chew on, and then you will just, drown. That's what happens.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Thoufeeque. It is quite enlightening, because it is a question that is worth answering, and it is a question that is worth the audience time, because it is challenging when you just get out there. The internet is like a vast desert or vast ocean, where if you don't have your compass, you are lost, and you might get on the wrong path leading to the wrong direction, which will
Right.
finally lead to frustration and all of that. So I hope the audience has gathered so much from what you just said. Thank you very much. If you have questions, okay. Host Bless, can you let Legend States to ask a question? He wants to ask a question.
Hello to everyone. Thanks very much for the presentation. It was short and concise. And we are aware that the issue of STEM and software has been part and parcel of the male domain. So, in your opinion, what can you say to our ladies or to women out there, to young girls out there, when it comes to STEM and having interest in software development? So, what advice can you give to them at this point in time, as the world is actually under the context of globalization, and to match up the feminist plight of the women when it comes to STEM and other issues?
Good question. Okay, so that's a whole different topic. In one way or another, I believe in gender equality, because in any shape or form, software engineering is not belong to male predominant. When the question is about how you can go to the female oriented, it is not a male dominant companies, though there are companies out there. But my personal feeling is that I does not support only one gender to be the best at something. No, absolutely no. For me, gender is not the issue here. It's about their attitude. It does not matter. I support, mostly I have been trained, I have been My mentors have been also, there are female mentors was there, my pair programmer, my colleagues. I have so many female colleagues out there which I have been worked with, and I respect them a lot. And all of them is better than other person. And I have been training a lot of female candidates or trainees in my Achis or in my team in US, which I have been going through. So fear not if you think that you are a female and you are not getting an opportunity. No, this is absolutely the software engineering is not the place for only for gents. No, it is absolutely for you too. And again, you can be the best at something. You can be possibly the CEO of a company, and you can lead the team, or you can lead a team leader, or architect. Everything is possible. So I completely agree on both. It doesn't matter. It's a male or a female. It is completely out of gender. I hope I answered the question in a way. So, if I understood the question in that way.
I think you did, Mr. Thoufeeque. Thank you very much. We have the next person. Eno has a question. So Eno, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thoufeeque. You really enlightened us so much with your presentation. I think Mr. Thoufeeque is quite modest with the way he presents software engineering and the opportunities. We know that irrespective of the COVID, a pandemic that we are inside today, internet and technologies have revolutionized everything. So practically today, everywhere, every field has some aspect of software in it, and it has come to stay. It's not ending anytime soon. It's just growing exponentially by the day. So practically every field in which we are, there's something that has to do with software engineering. So so I think this is a unique opportunity for all of us to seize. We may not all have coding experience, which leads to my first question. I would like to ask Mr. Thoufeeque, how does a day in a software engineer's life, what does it look like? A day in a software engineer's life, what does it look like?
A lot of tea or coffee look like. Probably that's what a day for a software engineer, looks like. I'm just kidding there. So it's a very hypothetical question, which I can answer only from a perspective of mine, because everybody has a different perspective. And I am a person who day in, day out, at least I am dealing with 40 to 50 people every single day. And out of that, around 40 people, I have to think about what they are doing. In different time zones, I have to deal with, from the time zone of India till US, probably around 6 or 7 time zones. So I start work probably around morning 10 o'clock, and probably that will go up to 2 o'clock in the night, maybe 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So if you're asking me about like what is your day, for me, it's a day and night situation. And for me personally, it's a lot about meetings and communications and talking to the people. So that's what mine. When I was an engineer, like I said, I was much peaceful, to be honest. When I was an engineer, I don't have to deal with a lot of talking, but I have a precise problem which I need to solve. And I communicate with my team. I have a group meetings would be there every day, which I communicate with my managers what I need to do. Then I start my job, and then most of the time is like searching in Google. Okay, let's be honest. Most of the time is Google have the answers. You have a problem, search in the Google. That's what most of the time we do. And then, that's what mostly I have done. And then once after that, once that has been, solve the problems, and then again, the routine continues. So you learn, keep learning, and then solve the problems what you are up against it as a software engineer. And like I said, keep learning new things which are coming out, and make sure that you are refreshing your knowledge. as a software engineer but if you start career, it's a completely different question. So,
Thank you very much. I think Bless would be satisfied with your response. I mean, he might not be satisfied because it's rather a personal question. It's very difficult as a software engineer to generalize how the day looks like.
Everybody has different viewpoint,
exactly.
But I can only say from my perspective and the people who I see day to day.
Exactly.
Like if you ask the questions to Elon Musk, he would have a different answer. So he thinks about neural brain and things like that. So
Okay. So thank you very much for that. The next question would be taken from Desmond Chair. So Desmond Chair, feel free to shoot your question to Mr. Thoufeeque.
Hello everybody.
Hi.
Thank you very much, Beltus, for the opportunity. Hello Thoufeeque, thanks so much for such an insightful presentation. It's actually one of my first presentations, meetings in such a topic, because it's really not my field of study. I'm more health inclined, but it was really inspiring, and I'm happy you really said a lot when it comes to morals, not just from your field of study, like morals which cuts across every field. So I just want to say, and before I ask my question, from what Anna said, through technology, ICT, soft skills have been able to cut across every field right now, like from the arts to the social sciences to medical sciences and all of that. So especially within this period, and I've been obliged as well to try to develop some of these skills. So that's why meetings like this I'm really much interested in. And now my question now, Thoufeeque, is what are the possibilities actually to maybe do some kind of an interdisciplinary collaboration, maybe with the medical sciences or let's say biological sciences, and a field like this? What are the possibilities of such a collaboration between maybe those in the medical sciences and those in ICT? Because the fact that ICT software engineering is becoming part of every field means there is a point where they can meet. It's not like I just need an ICT service, I call you, come and do and leave. I think there's some room for some collaboration. So how is that possible? Thank you.
Yep. So Desmond, in terms of health sciences and software engineering, it is not something new. It has been there since the time of software engineering. So one way or another, they might have done some software development for the health sciences. Okay, things like you can find from how can we test different types of DNA samplings, and with respect even to the latest modeling of what is the predictions of COVID situation. If you're growing in this percentage, how can we forecast ourselves at what time it will become to this much figure with a lot of statistical data? So the possibilities are numerous. My answer would be simple. What is the problem we are trying to solve? So if you know the problem, how can the software help? Is like trying to trace it down and understanding more about the problem. So once you get more and more understanding about the problem, that can be correlated in one way or another with the software engineering. For example, just like I said, health issues right now, what we are speaking about is pandemic, which would be like understanding our how much of our prediction model of how many people get infected if we go in this rate of speed versus how many people are not wearing a mask with sample data, and how can we model with the particular algorithm to reach out to a level, how can we flatten the line of the new infections and things like that. So that there is a problem out there. Now, using, of course, statistical data, we can come up with it. So my answer would be like it's simple. Just like in any other field, it does not really matter. It is health sciences or banking or e-commerce or anything, like in the health sciences itself, like you can understand if you're having an Apple Watch, they are trying to track what's your heartbeats and your blood pressure, and since that being calculated, how much exercise you are doing, what food you need to take, and with that data, which we can use some other purpose. So it's numerous possibilities. So software engineering, health, and it does go hand in hand for a long time, and it will go hand in hand without any near future. It's not going to stop. So there are so many possibilities, to be honest, if you ask me. So well, no, it's everything is the key thing is the data. So if you have a data, then you can do so many things. So.
Thank you very much, Thoufeeque, for that response. Feel free to keep asking your questions on the chat. Indicate if you have a question, and we would give you the opportunity to speak with Mr. Thoufeeque. He's a very busy person, and this is a perfect opportunity for you to throw your questions at him. Anything related to software, anything, in fact, beyond software engineering. While waiting for questions, Mr. Thoufeeque, I would continue to hit you with mine because, first of all, when I read your profile, I was impressed because I didn't know it's a privilege for me to meet the brain behind Wolfram Alpha, which saved me in my graduate course. One of my most difficult graduate courses, it was probability and stochastic processes. I had to use your platform. So when
I'm the manager for that, by the way.
Yes. So when I read your platform, when I read your profile, your biography, I was like, okay, wow. So this, because it is an awesome, it is a scientific platform. My professor introduced us to this platform just last year. I didn't even know it existed, and it really helped, and it still helps me to till today. So speaking with you right now, it's actually an honor to meet the person who helped me in my graduate program. So my question, while waiting for someone to come to ask the question, I'll just shoot mine directly. So you mentioned a very critical problem, which exists, which is about exposure, Mr. Thoufeeque. It's about, you see, where you are located kind of determines how far you get exposed, how far your opportunities can go, how many opportunities you can have out there. But we keep saying that the internet now has brought us together, but there still seems to be this demographic divide. Because I come from Cameroon, and I know the talents we have there. I have classmates who have graduated in software engineering, but they have no opportunity to show their skills on an international platform. So what do you think someone in that particular domain, someone in, let's say, in that small village who has just access to internet and the skills, what can he do to upgrade to an international platform to get exposure?
Right. So I want to rephrase one thing which you just now said. It's not just the internet is not the only thing which you want. You need to have a good laptop as well. If you are looking for the software engineering, you need to have both, because nowadays, most of the software which you are using or programming languages you are trying to learn are resource intensive programming languages, meaning that you need to have a good laptop with a good memory powers and things like that. That's one. There are two explicit things which we require. One is internet, and another one is, as I said, you need to have a good laptop. You are absolutely right. The demographics of an engineer plays a big role here. If you are taking a kid from Wisconsin, or if you are taking a kid from Chicago with a similar or even lower skills in the software engineering, with somebody from, let's say, Cameroon or Nigeria, versus somebody coming from India, have three different opportunities. Three different opportunities. Unfortunately, even with the world being interconnected with the internet and all these platforms are out there, we still have that problem. But there are things which we could do. There are things which we can actually do. For example, that's one of those things which we are actually trying to teach in Achi's Academy. What exactly we can do in order to expose ourselves, in order to make it better. LinkedIn management is one of those things. You can be in LinkedIn. Profile building, that's another thing. Having a good projects in the GitHub, maintaining the GitHub projects, being a good programmer so that you can show off that. And there are attending the events which is happening at this point of time. This is an online event. Now I know more people than yesterday. There are so many people who we didn't know till now. And earlier it used to be in-person events in your town or in your bigger city of your country. Definitely will be having software events from big companies. Nevertheless, maybe Google or Microsoft or even small companies of that nation. You go to the events, start networking, understanding more people, pick a mentor. There are so many things which you can do to get the exposure out there. But like I said, I didn't become all of a sudden from a kid from south part of India to somebody who has been working in Illinois in the US. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over the period of time. And it took years. It didn't happen like in a 1 month, 2 months. It took a lot of years, a lot of coincidences, a lot of people involved in it. So it will happen its own course of time. But I can guarantee you that it is much easier than the situation which I used to be back then. Okay, right now, we have a lot of platform. So making use of these skills out there, which is already there right now, whatever I mentioned right now, will eventually present yourself with some options. Okay, so that's one of those things which I have been constantly training in Artist Academy, like LinkedIn management. You can check every intern join in Artist, they have a wonderful LinkedIn profile. They keep active in profile in LinkedIn than any social platform. Okay, now they are being forced to start more focus on the GitHub profiles and things. Small projects. We will be doing small projects, show it in the GitHub so that they can show that they are active in GitHub as well. And there are other platforms also. Create your own portfolio, create your own websites, and having a good resume. Resume building is another thing. If you don't have a modern 2020 based resume, again, that's a bad impact. How can you change those things? So many things which you can do in order to expose yourself. Yes, it is difficult for some people, but there are things. Yeah.
Wow, anyone who is listening to this is so opportune to get these tips from you, because these are things that nobody tells you. You don't get it. You just get in there and you start learning how to program, you start learning how to code, and you are just there in your small shady room and you're coding and killing yourself, and at the end nothing. So thank you very much, Mr. Thoufeeque. And as the founder of Achi's Academy, we would like to give you the opportunity to present, like in 5 minutes, what Achi's Academy is all about. Probably our viewers, our audience would be interested in joining your academy or in spreading the word out to someone who might be interested in becoming a software engineer and building their platform with a mentor such as you. So you can go ahead, Mr. Thoufeeque.
Thank you so much. To start with, again, it starts with the dream of me being able to help some amount of other people who are struggling for opportunities. That's the whole starting point of Archie's Academy. How can I build a platform where I can help this young, or doesn't matter the age is not the thing which I'm trying to say here. How can we help the people out there who are struggling in one way or another to get themselves exposed to this particular field, and which they don't have really a clear path towards what they want to do. It started with, in a coffee shop, we started just doing programming. I am the first programmer of the company itself. Like, even though I have been doing managing, I'm an engineer. Okay, at the end of the day, I'm still a programmer. So I started programming with the help of Aslam was there since the beginning. And then one by one, like again, the mission and vision has been always the same. Mission is to make the brightest, the greatest, or get the exposed to next generation engineers. Okay, how can we do it? Engineers, not just engineer, project managers, leaders, team leads, or whatever, like in terms of it. That has always been the vision. And slowly we get into a platform we started building. We started getting trainees, and one of the first trainees we have been started in our first batch even from, like, since most of the people are from Africa, is from Kenya. He's also here. Victor is here. So Victor is from Kenya, and he is one of the first trainees which we have started. And we have trained people from different countries. Namely, I can tell you right now, Kenya Victor is here, India, Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, Philippines, Cyprus, and henceforth. So many countries which haven't been exposed. Okay, not much to it. And I have kept the same routine for everybody. First of all, it's not just learning a programming language. It's learning about the process. It's learning about the attitude. It's learning about the communication. It's not just about learning one programming language. So you have to look in a bigger picture, not just one thing, one small thing. So our curriculum is kind of different from normal, go to the YouTube and I will learn JavaScript, or I will learn Python. No, it's not like that. We focus mostly, first of all, how to build a proper good engineer by logical sense. And then everybody has a different talent to learn things. Their skills of observance and learning would be different to different people. Over the period of time, we mold them to make sure that they learn as much as skills they can learn. So there are so many technologies and tools out there. How can they learn more and more tools? We try to encourage that. Once after that, we try to take care of a real world project, which we will build all together as a team to expose the teamwork. Because it's not, when you learn some programming language, you are sitting in one room alone and try to learn by yourself. But you are not learning how to do team building activity. One of the biggest mistakes. Okay. So once you learn it, you go to a team, you are always a person who coded alone. You don't know how to work with a team. Ego clashes, offensive, you get into defensive mode, you get screwed up with your manager. Boom, your career is almost in the back foot. Okay, how can you make sure that, like, you can work with a team player? How can you do that? So our platform is such a way that is tailored in such a way that we get a good team player, employable skill set person, or an engineer or a manager or a QA tester or designer or whatever. But they can be, if somebody from a company wants to hire them, they get a good person which they can maintain for a long term, and making sure they know that how to be employed over the period of time. And we do the career management for them. So that is the Archie's Academy in general, in a nutshell.
Wow. I wish I just started in software engineering, because what you just explained here is the culmination of all the little intricacies that form a rock solid and professional software developer in the future. This is like you are filling in all those loopholes that no one ever talks about. That is really amazing. But to give you like a follow-up question to what Achi's Academy is, how can the audience, those who are watching this, how can they join the academy? Like what courses, what is the procedure, and what courses do they offer? How can you guide them to be part of Achi's Academy? And to top, I know our time is almost running out, so I'll try to be short, and your answers, you would also please kindly try to make them short. And also, how can, is there a possibility of Achi's Academy, for example, expanding to other African countries like Cameroon, or to my village, Banso, for example, in Cameroon? Is there, in the next, let's say, 5 years, 3 years, and is that a dream for the Achi's Academy? So that's the second question.
First question, it is so simple procedure. We do have a skill test in our academy. If Aslam or somebody can paste that URL, or maybe you can provide to all the guests who came here. There's a skill test which we post, which they need to sign up and then do all the questions, technical and some behavioral question. The score doesn't really matter. It's just a number which you want to see. If you know, it's an open book interview questions, like it ranges from some programming to some general questions. Once you're done with that, there is a common behavioral question to understand how much motivated and things you are. Once after that, we go through, we are looking towards your communication and other motivations, reasoning in that particular skill test. We have an assessment call, which will go through 2 rounds, one with a first behavioral assessment call to make sure that you are a person who can be trained, in the sense we want to make sure, again, it's not about the English, it's about the communication. Are you able to communicate properly? Then once that is being okay, we are kind of okay, you are good in communication. We go through a technical round. We want to see how much you are at least exposed to some technology or no technology, or why are you even choosing this one? Some people are just because of fancy they want to. Maybe, are you sure you want to spend time on it? I want to make sure that they're technically feasible to train. Once after that, there is a pricing for the year. There's only one course per se. There is no much course. Everything is one, okay? Everything has to go through it. All the software development from starting to ending, we have to go through it. And you will learn languages as you go. And there's a pricing based on the location where you are at, and that you can take a look on the pricing page. And once after that, you have, if there is a question, sometimes your location may not be supported for the pricing. You can reach out to Aslam how to do that. The second thing is that, the second question of yours is that in your home village, can they train? Artist Academy is not bound to any location. Anybody from the earth can join. Okay. So the only 2 prerequisites which I have to ask is that, do you have a good internet? Do you have a good laptop? These are the 2 things which I require. Because these 2 things, if you don't have it, then it's a problem, because you cannot learn. So hopefully Cameroon right now have a good internet and been increasing. So if it's not, as you said, if it is 5 years down the line, or I don't know how many years down the line, but I hope as long as you have these 2 prerequisites, and anybody can join. And we make sure that the timing of the training in such a way that it is common across everybody. So like I said, in the second training batch which we are going through right now, we have people from 5 different countries. One from India, one from Tajikistan, and then the Azerbaijan, Philippines, and Cyprus. So 5 countries. And I'm trained by people from Turkey, from Netherlands, from US, from UK, so from other countries. So trained from these countries as well. So time zone, we'll try to figure it out. So that's what it is.
Wow. Thank you very much, Thoufeeque. Our time is running out, so thank you for that brilliant response. It has been an absolute honor for us to have you on this platform to share your knowledge, to disseminate information in such a way that we have never been able to hear before. Thank you very much for being here. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your time. 1 hour and about 15 minutes of your time is valuable time to log onto this platform to gain knowledge, which I believe you can go into the future and help yourselves, build yourselves, grow in such a way that you would be proud of yourself. As Achi said, as Mr. Thoufeeque said, he came from nobody. He's just a normal, regular guy from a small place in India. And here he is telling you how he got there. And all he had to put in place to get there was his mind, his determination for curiosity, and his passion to study. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor for me to be your host today on this platform. So I would like to thank Genge Ransom, Eno, Metin, Padan, Mudara, Aslam, Thoufeeque, Aswathi, Dr. Lama, Jingo Predi, Musinga Kevin, Engineer AHM, Victor Muya, Uyen Dia, Mai, Sintiange Infinity, Mutala Muride, Divine Bouton, Mohamed Usman, Siri Muswe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Yeah, thanks.